Okay. All right. First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody to this afternoon's career conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to Major Harper for taking time out of her super busy life to join us today and tell you all about her amazing career. I would like to hand it over to her because she has an amazing slide deck to share with you guys today, and it's just chock full of amazing information. So I am more than happy to hand it off. Welcome, Major Harper.
Awesome. Hi, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm so happy to be here. I'm Major Harper. I've been an Air Force pilot for 13 years, and now I'm working with the Air Force Academy. So I'm here to answer your questions and tell you a little bit more about my experience. And if you're interested in the Air Force Academy, we're going to talk about that is probably the preponderance of our conversation today, but we'll have tons of times for questions and stories. So I'm going to share my slides and we'll get started. All right, so like I said, I'm here representing the United States Air Force Academy. And a little bit about me, I'm actually from Brigham City, Utah, but I've been blessed to be part of the Air Force and have gotten to travel all over the states and countries. And it's been really exciting and such a huge blessing. I actually didn't go to the Air Force Academy. I did ROTC at Norwich University and studied electrical engineering. And then while I was in the Air Force, I got my master's degree in exercise science. But right now, as you can see, I'm an admission liaison officer working for the Academy and E3 pilot. And you can see me in the plane. I was lucky enough to have my name on that AWACS aircraft, so it was pretty special. So the Air Force Academy is a university that is made to train and educate our youth to become officers and join the Air Force and Space Force afterwards to, defend our nation. The Air Force Academy is the #3 public school in the United States. It's #6 in electrical engineering and engineering in general. As you can see, it's a top-rated school in the engineering side, as well as really high rated for best national in liberal arts. So what I do want you to consider when you're thinking about applying to the Air Force Academy, if that's the route you want to take, do you want to study engineering? We do have other majors, but every student gets a base in engineering. So everyone, no matter what, even if they do liberal arts, they'll still graduate with a bachelor in science because of their basics in engineering. So it is very math heavy and academic school. So something to think about. Here you can see the lists of majors and minors that are available. And you can see science, engineering are really some of the top ones, but we also have humanities and social sciences. There are courses that aren't offered at other universities. So it's something to really look into when you guys choose a college you want to go to. Like, does that college have the program you want? And sometimes the Air Force Academy is not a good fit because sometimes people want to do pre-med or other things. So it's just something to keep in mind. But no matter what you do and what school you choose, if you work hard and listen to your professors and the leaders, you're gonna have a great education and be ready for the world. So the Air Force Academy is Division I. And so if you have any special background in athletics, as you can see, the athletic campus is gorgeous. A student pilot is actually flying that plane, taking that photo. Somebody else is taking that photo. So it's really special. And you can just see how beautiful the campus is. It's in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So if you like mountains and skiing and hiking, it's definitely a really good place for you to go to school. The Academy experience. Now, I want to tell you, this is true across the board for military academies. So there's more than just the Air Force Academy. We have West Point, which is the Army's academy. We've got the Naval Academy, which commissions both Marines and naval officers. You have the Merchant Marine Academy, which is under the Department of Transportation. And we also have the Coast Guard Academy. And if you go to any of these academies, it's more than just college. It is a complete experience. It's complete immersion into the military way of life. You're not only doing an academic load, but you're going to be doing physical fitness together as a team. You're going to be learning leadership challenges. So it is a lot more above and beyond a normal college education. So it's a lot to think about, but it's a really special opportunity. So if that sounds really good to you, I really suggest, if that's something you want those kinds of challenges, the work comes with a lot of benefits because you get unique opportunities and camaraderie. So it's really, really something big to think about, but it's also really something special. Both the Air Force Academy and if you do ROTC, during the summer, you're going to get different options of different summer research, exchange student programs, and you even can do programs that visit different military bases and go spend a few weeks with different military units to find out what kind of job you want to do. Because we want to make sure before you finish your degree and you become an Air Force officer or Space Force officer, you know that that's the career field you want to go into. So we really try to give you all these opportunities that are very unique. Something that's also cool about the Air Force Academy is you can go to jump school. You see that top corner, that is a student on the parachute team. And the Air Force Academy has the only program in the US where you can jump solo out of an airplane your first time. So if you, it's pretty crazy. So if you want to become a skydiver and be on the skydive team and go lead in the football games, like you can join the jump team. We also have powered flight and glider flight. We have different engineering and computer hacking programs that you can join, as well as unmanned vehicles where you program the droids and stuff. So there's a lot of unique opportunities that you get to do. As you can see, like I said, if you love the mountains, Colorado Springs is amazing. And a lot of students in their free time, albeit there's not a ton of free time because you're very busy, but when you do have free time, they like to go hiking, skiing during the winter and really get outdoors. So if that's something that you're interested in, it's really, really special and just a beautiful area to go to college. Now, the Air Force Academy is 100% tuition free. Every single student that gets accepted pays no cost for their tuition, no room and board. You graduate with a degree and a job because part of going to the Air Force Academy is you do sign on to become an officer for 5 years afterwards. You also get free medical and you get a monthly stipend. So not only do you get to go to school for free, you also get paid and have a guaranteed job afterwards. So that's really something very cool that most universities can't promise you. So how do you get started? You can just Google United States Air Force Academy and start applying now. I don't know what different grades you guys are in, but if you're a senior and you haven't started applying, you're behind and it might not be possible for you to get in this time, which is okay. And just let us know and we can talk about that more at the end. But if you're a junior, you can go right now and start applying for the summer seminar where you can go to the different academies and go visit and tour the campus. So that's really cool if you're a junior now. If you're a senior, sadly, we're a little bit far behind, but you still have a chance until January 13th to apply for Air Force ROTC scholarships. So if that's something you're interested in, I can tell you more about that as well. But so you go to the Air Force Academy website and it's got everything laid out and it's a lot of information. But it's worth it to dive in if this is something you want. The Air Force application is very competitive because, like I said, every single student that goes is on scholarship. There are no non-scholarship students. So we're looking for well-rounded students that will become excellent Air Force officers and Space Force officers as well. So you need to be academically competitive, which means a really good GPA, taking honors and AP courses, and have a passion for learning, physically qualified. You know, when you become an Air Force officer and a Space Force officer, we have fitness tests we do. And that's just to make sure that we stay healthy so that when we're in deployed locations, we don't have any issues, as well as being medically qualified, because like I said, it's a very intense school. And so we want to make sure you go in there nice and healthy so that you have no problems and you can just continue to excel. And we really do want to look for people who have great character and leadership. And that's just shown by, you know, being involved in your community and leading teams, being part of different groups at your school, helping each other. And then you also do, the reason I said if you haven't already started applying that you're behind and you probably can't get it is because the nominations for Congress, most of them have already been due. And so it is a much lengthier process to go to the Air Force Academy. And this is required by law. By law, you have to have a nomination. So that's why I'm saying it's a little behind. But guess what? We actually have students that go and do community college for a year and take some challenging courses and then reapply and get in. So you know, if that's what you want, it's not something that you can't do just because, you know, you're already a senior. You can apply later. I just want you to keep in mind that no matter how many years of college you already have done, it's a 4-year program. So you need to go through all 4 years because we're making you into a leader. It's more than just academics. So you've got boot camp, you've got survival school, you've got all sorts of other things that you get to do along the way. So that's why we encourage, you know, you to be prepared for 4 years, because we want to make sure that you go into the Air Force ready. So here's just a snapshot of the average student who comes into the Air Force Academy. 3.85 GPA. You can see the SAT scores and ACT scores. They're all really high. You know, most students are at least in the top 25% of their high school class. So, and even if you don't meet these, I want to encourage you that you still should apply, because we have prep school at the Air Force Academy that you can do beforehand to make sure you're ready. And we also have a Falcon Foundation scholarship program that you can do to make sure you're ready. And if you do those programs and put your heart and soul in it and work hard, you're pretty much, I think it's like 95, 96% get accepted into the Air Force Academy the next year. So like, if it's where your heart is, definitely go for it, even if, you know, you've got some work academically to improve. We talked about, you know, the fitness exam. We have a candidate fitness assessment that we have our candidates do, and it works for every military branch: Air Force Academy, Naval Academy, West Point. It's all the same across the board. So if you take it once, you can use that same score and apply to different academies. And like I had mentioned, the nominations. So we do by law have to have you get a nomination from a senator, US representative, or the vice president. So you need it from one of those. And so you do need to start working on it well in advance. And so, you know, if you're already a senior, but you think you wouldn't mind doing community college, just know that like when summer comes along, start looking into the nomination process for next year with your Congress people, because it does take time, and they bring you in for an interview and everything as well. So last year we had 10,687 applicants. We had 9,215 in the candidate pool. 4,325 of them were qualified with the fitness test and medically. And then we had 1,154 get accepted into the Air Force Academy. So you can see a lot of people start the process, but it does take time to finish. And so we do have some people that realize along the way, maybe it's not for them, and that's okay. You know, I did Air Force ROTC and still became a pilot and still went to the Air Force because I didn't know about the Air Force Academy. I didn't know about it. I didn't actually even know much about ROTC. So I got a scholarship in college. So, there's never a wrong way you go. You just kind of start where you're at and work from there and see how you can meet your goals. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help you figure out, hey, this is my goal. And we're here to give you all the suggestions, answer your questions so we can help get you there. So the Air Force has 35 different career fields. 50% of the Air Force pilots do come from the Air Force Academy. So I was part of the other 50% that did not. 10% of the academy goes into Space Force, and 10% goes on to graduate school, being law school, medical school, and public policy. So just to look at some quick snapshots of different Air Force officer careers, you could be a pilot like I am. You could be combat system officers. You could be special tactics. So they work a lot with the special forces, kind of like in the Green Beret, if you know that from the Army, that's the same kind of thing for the Air Force. We have cyber operations who work with computers. We have our remotely piloted aircraft, space ops officers, intel, logistics. You can see like there is a lot of interesting things that you can do. And we even have our specialties that happen to be medical or bioengineering or becoming a lawyer. You can become a lawyer as well. So I'm going to take a second just to talk a little bit about Space Force, because Space Force is our newest branch of the military. And the route to become a Space Force officer is still through the Air Force, because right now it doesn't have its own school and it doesn't have its own ROTC program because it's a very small force. It's about a 60th of the size of the Air Force. So it's very competitive, but it's a very cool thing to be part of, and it's very special. So the whole point of Space Force is to protect the states from the space domain. A lot of countries have satellites that can do various things. So we're out there, tracking and making sure we're staying protected in that arena. As you can see, we have different avenues within the warfighting domain. Most of the bases are in Colorado, California, or we have a little bit of people in Florida. But the whole thing is to work with the satellites, work on computer programming. And in the future, we are hoping to have astronauts in our Space Force as well. So yeah, so if you are interested in becoming an astronaut, I would highly encourage you to look at the Air Force or look at Space Force, because and Navy as well, because a lot of our astronaut corps with NASA were in the military. So it's a really good avenue to take. Officers specifically do acquisitions and engineering. They do cyberspace, intelligence, and space operations. So those are the 4 main officer jobs. If you wanted to go in Space Force, you would be able to go to and explore after going to the academy or doing ROTC. So what's also cool is the Air Force Academy has its own different classes and clubs that are specifically for Space Force. There are no other universities at this time that have the military side of it covered. So if you're really interested in that, that is something really special and unique you can get at the Air Force Academy. And we do a lot of exchange programs and internships with NASA. So it's really fun. So if you all want to take a second and scan that QR code on your phone, you can fill out some contact information, and one of the admission advisors, she's a recent, actually, Lieutenant Che, she's a recent graduate from the Air Force Academy, and she knows even more than I do, and she can answer your questions. So if maybe you don't want to ask your questions here in this forum because it's being recorded, so I know that makes some people shy, go ahead and scan this and fill that out, and feel free to ask any questions you have. Lieutenant Che is awesome, and she's very smart, and she will get back to you very, very quickly. So I just wanted to show you this. This is something special. Besides getting to be an Air Force pilot and having lived in countries all over the world and all over the States. My last base was Alaska, and I got to work with the Army and the Air Force and do an air show. And so you can see, the picture on the left is a little girl watching our Army paratroopers jump out of the plane. And then on the right, you can see our Raptor aircraft. We had a bunch of us line up for a photo and then to do a mission. And I'm actually in the plane on the right, the AWACS. I'm the one with the big cookie on top, the Rotordome. And then the other one's a C-17. So I got to be part of that. And so this little girl from Utah is just so thankful for all the opportunities the Air Force has given. And I'm just excited to be here today and share with you and answer any questions you have. So thank you so much for your time and listening. And please let me know if there's anything you'd like to ask now.
I have a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So was the E3 Century the plane you originally wanted to fly, or did you hope to get something else?
So for me, it was the plane I wanted to fly. So
Cool.
yeah, so when you go to pilot training, you get to make a dream list. And I actually had families that lived in the area of Oklahoma City. And so AWACS is stationed mostly in Oklahoma. So I knew that if I went there, I would get to not only fly, but be near family. So to me, that was really special, So
Yeah.
a lot of people decide what plane they want to be on based on family needs, based on what the mission is. My best friends fly fighter planes. And I don't know if you know what the CD-22 is, the Osprey is. It's the one that transforms from a helicopter to a plane. My other best friend, she flies that, and it's just, we're all different, some of us are daredevils, some of us are more laid back. So it's really special. But yeah, I got to put in my dream list and I got my number one choice. So I've been really happy.
That's really cool.
Yeah, thanks. So I see there's a question. I'll go and look in the chat real quick. So you said you're looking to enlist. Can you transfer to the Marine Academy for your MOS? So you can be enlisted and apply to go to the academies. So yes, you can. It is a process and you have to balance out how long your commitment is, because I know for the Air Force Academy specifically, you need to go before your 23rd birthday in July. If you turn 23 before July, you can't go after that. So you just need to do the math with your recruiter and figure out how long is my commitment, and will I still have time to do my commitment and apply? But sometimes your commanders also waive your commitment because you're going into a service academy where you're going to get a new commitment to serve after the service academy. So that's also an option. There's just specific rules. You can't be married going to a military academy, and you can't have kids. And this is just to be respectful to your family, because you live on campus, they can't live there with you, and you're immersed in this. So they just want to make sure that you can be fully committed. So it's just some things to keep in mind, and goals change throughout your life. But yeah, you can still go if you enlist and go and become an officer down the road. So that's always a great option. Do you have to have a good memory to join? Not necessarily. So, everyone I've worked with has been so different, with different backgrounds and so diverse. And we actually love how different people have different strengths. And we do work in teams. So I would be honest and say, I don't have the world's greatest memory, but what I do have is passion, and I work hard. So even though maybe naturally I'm not the world's best pilot, I'm willing to work even harder. So even though some of my friends who are pilots started off above me, I actually surpassed them. Not because I'm better than them, but because I was willing to keep working. They decided, hey, this is good enough. And I decided, no, I need to keep working. So it's okay. It's okay if you don't have the best memory. What you do is you work with what you are blessed with and you make the most of it. And, there's so many different career fields. that work with what you are and what you have, and because everyone has strengths. So definitely would encourage, everyone to be part of it. And if that's something that interests you, right? It's not for everybody, but if it's something that interests you, it's okay that you don't have the best memory, as long as you're willing to work hard and learn your job. Here's a question, not specifically for the academy, but interested in being special tactics, awful vision and celiac, would that bar you from the service? So vision shouldn't bar you from tactics, and not necessarily even the being a pilot. Your vision has to be correctable you need color vision to be a pilot. There are certain things that might bar you, but I can't speak specifically. So I would say, don't just assume because your vision isn't the best that you can't do it. I would definitely encourage you to apply and to get the medical evaluation, because the only person who can really give you that evaluation is a doctor. And I don't think celiac would also, but I can't say definitively because I'm not a doctor, I'm a pilot. So what I would say is apply and get the medical review board, and they will tell you. And one thing that you'll learn about the Air Force is unless it's something where we're worried about you risking your life in terms of your health, there's probably a waiver for it. So, and I'm sure since you have celiac, you understand how to eat and be careful. So I would definitely say, as long as you are interested, apply and talk to the doctor at the medical board and let them know, and they'll be able to clearly give you that answer. Amanda asked, is there a separate academy for the Marines? So the Marines go to the Naval Academy, and they also, there is also a Merchant Marine Academy, which is not like the normal Marines. That's part of the Department of Defense. So, there's not a separate specific, but there is a separate specific Marine Corps ROTC. So if you want to become a Marine officer, there's a lot of avenues to do that.
Major Harper, we had one come in earlier. We had a question that said, I know my student was interested in specifically becoming a pilot, not through the Air Force. Could Major Harper talk a little bit about the preparation needed to become a pilot?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you don't want to become a pilot through the Air Force, you can do it the civilian route. So you can go to a college like Embry-Riddle and study and get your pilot's license along the way, or you can just walk up to your local airports, the little mini ones that you live around, and start going to school for a private pilot's license. So that's where you start. You start with your private pilot's license, and your instructor can help you work from there. But it is a long process and it costs money. So either you need to work while you do it or save up money, or you can apply to different scholarships. And there's a lot of different programs out there. If you Google civilian flying scholarships and things like that, that's a process. But yeah, you start off at your local little airport and you get your private pilot's license. And then after you do that, you get your commercial license, and then you get your instrument license. And so you go from there, and you start off in the civilian world as a regional pilot, flying the small planes around the states. And usually you do that anywhere from 5 to 15 years. And then after that, you can get hired by a bigger airline like Delta, United, FedEx, UPS. So, if you're not interested in flying the military route, that's okay too. It's a great option to either go to college and do a flying program that way, or go directly and just start hammering it out at a local airport. And all the pilots, we love to share. So if you go to a local airport, they will walk you through everything. We are all about bringing each other in. So, let me see. Can you transfer to one branch? Wait, sorry. Can you transfer from one branch to another? You actually can. So we actually have a small percent of Air Force Academy students who cross into the Navy and cross into the Army. And same with West Point. Sometimes you get West Point that crosses into the Air Force. So you can do it. If that's something you're interested in, definitely tell your advisors, your leadership as soon as you figure that out, but it is possible. So there's different programs called like blue to gold, green to blue, blue to green. So yeah, it's definitely possible, but it's something that's not done often. So you definitely need to voice your opinion and your interests early so that you can get help along the way. Let's see what's next.
Amanda is next. She said, do university transfer credits count in the academy? If I were to get transfer credits in a community college, can they be at all useful in the academy?
So they're useful in the sense that you're going to be a stronger student. They do not go towards your degree. You still have to do the 4-year program at the academy. So that's what's a little different about the Air Force Academy than a normal university. But even normal universities, sometimes they won't transfer all your credits either. So it's not that the Air Force doesn't recognize it. It's just that it's a 4-year program to make you into a leader. So it won't wipe away your academic load because it's a whole big process, if that makes sense.
Paige is asking how old you have to be to join.
18 or 17 with your parents' permission. But that's just to join the military in general. The Air Force Academy, obviously you need to get accepted, you need to have graduated high school and do that whole process, just like most universities. What about past 5150s? Can somebody clarify that question? I don't know what that means.
So 5150s, I'm assuming he's talking about like mental health issues.
Oh, okay. I can't speak to that. So it really depends on if it's resolved, if you were on certain medications that make you disqualified. So that is something, once again, I'd say if you're interested, apply and you'll talk to your doctor one-on-one and they'll give that assessment. But I would say don't just assume that it disqualifies you. There's a lot of rumors that things would disqualify you that don't. So not necessarily, but I can't guarantee that there won't be, because there are certain medications that maybe like cause seizures or, different, they have other medical issues that might hinder your safety. So your medical board and doctor will tell you.
I have a quick question, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I am colorblind, and I know that technically disqualifies me from being a pilot, but could I possibly be the where is it? The WSO?
A WISO?
Yes.
I don't think you can be a WISO, but how colorblind are you, by the way?
Red and green, only to like slightly, like the slightest.
Me too.
So if it's really slight, you might be able to get a waiver if it's really slight, because I do know somebody who is a very, very, very slight one who is a pilot who got a waiver. So you might be able to be a WISO and you might be able to be a drone pilot, but I'm not an optometrist. So I would once again say, like, if that's something you're passionate about, ask and go do the test, because they know like what line is like too far.
Too far to, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
But I do know one pilot who only has slight, and he's a C-17 pilot. So I just can't tell you if his is the same as yours, right? So I just say keep hope and ask the question, apply, and see what happens.
Wells is wondering if Marine pilots are still a thing and how
Yeah.
he would become one.
Yes, so Marine pilots are a thing. So how you become a Marine pilot is pretty much like you become an Air Force pilot. You need to go to the Naval Academy or do ROTC, or you have to have a degree and become an officer. We don't have pilots in the Air Force, Navy, or Marine Corps that are not officers. There is one exception. The Army has officer pilots, but they also have warrant officer pilots. So they're not enlisted. You still need to be an officer, but yes, you go to a college and get a degree, and you go to either the academy. Throughout college, you're basically doing your military training, or you do ROTC. So ROTC is at over 1,000 different colleges in the States. So if you Google ROTC, you can look up a locator of different colleges that have a program. And the biggest difference is you're a normal student 75% of the time, and 25% of the time you're doing your military training. So it's like doing it part-time while you're a normal college student. So, and then if you finish that program, you commission also as an officer. And then say you don't do either of those, it's true across the board for all branches. You can go and get your degree on your own dime or through other scholarships. And then you can apply for something called officer training school or officer candidate school, and become an officer that way. But what I want to tell you is that is the hardest way to become a pilot. They have the least slots. So if your heart is in pilot, you want to do the academy or you want to do ROTC, because there's the very least spots for the people who don't do those programs. Okay. So definitely, if that's where your heart is, do the academy or ROTC to improve your chances.
Major Harper, I have one more question for you.
Oh, yeah.
We were chatting for a minute before everybody hopped on about where you have been able to go with the Air Force. Can you just kind of talk about where you've been and where you've lived with the opportunities the Air Force has provided?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I commissioned as an officer, I first moved down to Florida, and I worked in Florida for a C-130 unit while I was waiting to start pilot training. And so it was so much fun. I met my best friend who flies Ospreys there, and we just had such a great time. We worked hard, we played hard. And then I went to pilot training in Mississippi. And so that was an adventure. I flew both the T6 and the T1, and every Air Force pilot learns how to fly formation like fighter pilots. So like, it doesn't matter, you know, what your background is. And if you're going to go be a heavy pilot, I got to learn how to fly 13 feet from another plane, doing turns and everything, doing loops. So you learn aerobatics, all of that. So pilot training is an adventure, which is really good, because when I became an AWACS pilot and got stationed in Oklahoma, I had to fly 13 feet behind another airplane to get gas in the sky. I used to spend 20 minutes at least every flight, 13 feet from another airplane, just to get gas. So it's a pretty exciting and fun job. So I got to live in Oklahoma. I got to deploy in South America. I got to deploy to Europe and do some work for Libya, because the airplane I fly, we're a airborne warning and control system. So my crew, we're like air traffic control, but we're in a plane. So like, if there's no radar that covers an area, I bring my crew, we fly over there and they work that area, and they're so smart and so wonderful. So it's really cool and something special. And I got to also live in the Middle East. I lived in Qatar for a year, working for a 3-star general who's now the chief of staff of the Air Force. So that was really special. General Brown is awesome. And then I got to live in Alaska. And now I live in California, and I'm working in Northern California. So it's just been so special. And that doesn't include all the trips I did. I've been to Japan, Guam, Korea, oh my goodness, different places in Europe, Crete, Bahrain in the Middle East, like all over the world, all over the States. So it's been really awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Major Harper.
Yeah.
We had the next person who raised their hand was Kay Richmond.
Okay.
So my question for you is, how long have you been in service, and how many times have you gotten deployed or gotten orders to move?
Yeah, so I've been now in the service 14, coming on 15 years. I've moved 5 times and I've deployed 3 times.
What was
So
your experience with being deployed?
it was awesome. I had amazing crews. So 2 of my deployments, sorry, 3 of, so I lied, I've been deployed 4 times. 3 of my deployments were flying, 1 was not flying. And my crews on all 3 were amazing. AWACS, we have up to 40 people on our jet. So it's like a big team and we just like work hard and have so much fun together. And so that was really special. Like probably my favorite deployment was definitely flying and being the aircraft commander, just because like I got to take ownership and make the team I wanted to be. So it was something really, really special. But I also had a great time on my ground deployment. It was a year in Qatar and I had just the coolest office. We all worked so hard together for the general. And, you know, when you're deployed, you work a lot, but you're away from home, you're away from family. So like who you work with becomes your little family. So we worked hard and we just had so much fun and lots of making fun of each other. And, you know, so just what comes along with getting to spend a lot of time with the same group of people. So I really had a really great time. And in the Middle East, I always felt safe. I always felt respected. And it was just wonderful. So.
M Cloud has the next question, and that person says, do you do, I'm sorry, MEPS maybe for ROTC/OCS or the Service Academy?
MEPS,
MEPS?
no,
MEPS?
no, I think MEPS is a Marine thing.
Okay.
I think that's a Marine thing, and I don't think you do. I would have to Google what MEPS is. Who asked that? What is, let me see if I can find out what MEPS is. But I don't think so.
Oh, Medical Entrance Processing Station.
Oh, okay. So I guess it's just, that's what the Marines call it. Yes, every military program you join, you are going to do a medical review. So yes, everybody does it. They just call it, we call it DOBMERB in the Air Force. So every branch has different acronyms. So we call it the DOBMERB, but yes, you do have to be medically reviewed. And that's just for your safety, right? Because they don't want to put you in undue stress if it's going to cause health problems. So yes, every form, whether you enlist, go to the Academy, ROTC, OCS, you will do a medical review before you enter the military. Marines, I saw that Marines do use their own pilots. They do not use Air Force pilots. Just like the Navy uses their own, the Air Force uses their own, their Army uses their own. Every branch has their own pilots. So Space Force doesn't have pilots, but in the future, probably astronauts. So that's neat.
Oh, I love that part about the Space Force. Now I don't want to take up too much more of your time. So
Yeah.
Any of those burning questions, guys, go ahead and throw those last minute questions in the chat. Otherwise, I think we will probably wrap it up for Major Harper so that she can get back to her day. Thank you so much for your service, Major Harper, and thank you so much for your time and answering all of our questions. Yeah. And with that, I think that's probably a wrap. Does anybody else have questions? Oh, I see one more message that just came in.
I also saw Paige, you do have to be graduated from high school to apply to the Air Force Academy. So you need to finish college, or sorry, you need to finish high school. You definitely need to finish high school before you can apply to be enlisted or an officer. But enlisted is high school graduation, officer is college graduate. So you'd like to join, how old? So yeah, so like I said, when it comes to color blindness, definitely start applying and let them do the review. for your any health issue you have. They all know the doctors that review you know the rules, and so they will definitely do the best to work and protect you and make sure everything is good. So
Amanda
Yep.
said,
oh,
thank you for taking time out of your day to explain all of this to us, Major Harper. It's greatly appreciated.
well, thanks. And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to send them my way, and I really appreciate it. I can write my email in the chat real quick. So if you didn't want to ask something, you can scan that QR code. I can go back to that QR code, but I'll also put my email address and you can just send me an email. But there's the QR code again. So if you want to email me or scan that and start talking to Lieutenant Che, those are two great ways to continue to answer your questions. So
Wonderful. Well, thanks again, Major Harper. We sure appreciate your time. And
Thank
we hope
you.
that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
You too. You guys take care. Have a wonderful one. You guys
Aw,
take
thank
care.
you, you too.
All right. Bye.